She was just a waitress trying to survive, until one night a millionaire stepped in to defend her from a cruel customer, and everything changed. What started as a fairy tale romance turned into a nightmare when jealousy and lies tore them apart in front of everyone, leaving her humiliated and heartbroken. Alyssa walked away from Ethan Ward that night, swearing she'd never look at him again. But months later, fate had other plans. A chance encounter, a dangerous robbery, and a man willing to bleed to protect her would force them back together. The question was, could love survive public betrayal, manipulation, and a pride that almost destroyed them both? Some said she was a gold digger, others said he was a fool, but what really happened between the waitress and the millionaire would shock everyone. Subscribe and comment below if you've ever had to choose between protecting your heart and risking everything for love, because this story is about to take you on a journey you won't forget. The crystal glasses clinked too loud. The voices around Alyssa's station buzzed with that special kind of laughter, the kind that came easy when money wasn't a worry. She balanced 3 plates of duck confit on her arm, moving between tables at the lantern with practiced grace. "Miss." The voice cut through the dinner chatter, sharp, demanding. Alyssa turned. Table 7. A man in his 50s sat back in his chair, his suit probably worth more than her monthly rent. His face wore that look she'd seen too many times, the kind that said he knew exactly how much power he had in a room like this. "Yes, sir?" She kept her voice warm, professional. "This wine." He lifted his glass like it offended him. "It's not what I ordered." Alyssa's heart sank. She double-checked that order. "I'm so sorry, sir. Let me verify with—" "I don't need verification." He set the glass down hard. "I need someone who knows the difference between a 2015 Bordeaux and whatever cheap bottle you brought me." Heat crawled up Alyssa's neck. Around them, conversations dimmed, heads turned. "Sir, I assure you—" "Of course you can't assure me anything." His voice rose. "What would a waitress from— where? The South Side know about fine wine?" The words hit like a slap. Alyssa's hands trembled. She wanted to defend herself, to explain that she'd studied the Lantern's wine list for weeks, that she took pride in her work. But her throat closed up. The stares burned. "That's enough." The new voice came from table 9. A man stood, his tall frame unfolding with quiet authority. White guy, early 30s maybe, with dark hair and eyes that held something solid in them, something sure. His charcoal suit fit him the way money usually did, comfortable, not showy. "Excuse me?" The difficult guest turned, eyebrows raised. "I said that's enough." The standing man walked over, calm as Sunday morning. "This woman is doing her job. You're being cruel for sport. This is none of your concern." "It became my concern when you decided to humiliate someone in public." His voice stayed level, but something in it made the room go quiet. "The wine is correct. I saw the sommelier bring it. You're just looking for someone to push around." Alyssa's breath caught. Nobody ever did this, not for people like her. The difficult guest's face went red. "Do you know who I am?" "Don't care." The defender smiled, but it wasn't friendly. "I know what you are, though, and right now, you're a bully picking on someone who can't fight back without losing her job." For a long moment, nobody moved. Then the difficult guest threw his napkin on the table and stood. "I won't be spoken to this way. I'm leaving." "Good choice," the defender said. The man stormed out. Slowly, conversation started again. Alyssa stood frozen, her heart hammering against her ribs. The man who'd defended her looked at her, and his expression softened. "You okay?" She nodded, not trusting her voice. "For what it's worth, your service has been perfect all night." He returned to his table, leaving Alyssa standing there with tears she refused to let fall. Later, after the last customers left and the kitchen went dark, Alyssa walked home through downtown streets that sparkled with late-night traffic. Her feet hurt. Her heart hurt worse. She kept replaying the scene, the cruelty in that man's voice, the shame burning through her. And then, that stranger, standing up, speaking out. Nobody ever did that. The city lights blurred a little. Alyssa blinked hard. She'd worked at the Lantern for 8 months, saving every spare dollar, dreaming of maybe one day opening her own small place. Nothing fancy, just somewhere warm, where people felt welcome. Tonight made her wonder if she was fooling herself. But then she remembered the defender's eyes, the way he'd stepped in without hesitation, like she mattered, like her dignity was worth protecting. "Thank you," she whispered to the night air, knowing he couldn't hear. She pulled her coat tighter and kept walking. Architected narrative progression through Chapter 2, while calibrating pacing toward 4,000-word target. Good start. I've covered Chapter 1. Now I need to move into Chapter 2, the unexpected invitation. I need to show Alyssa returning to work the next day feeling embarrassed, then Ethan coming back and leaving a note, Paula's encouragement, and ending with Alyssa getting into Ethan's car. I'm at about 650 words so far. I need to reach about 4,000 words total for Part 1, covering 6 chapters. Let me continue with good pacing and detail. The next morning came too fast. Alyssa stood outside the lantern, staring at the gold-lettered sign above the door. Her stomach twisted. Everyone would know, everyone had seen. She pushed through the door anyway. The morning shift was quieter, mostly business lunches and early diners, the kind of crowd that didn't make scenes. "Girl!" Paula appeared from the kitchen, her dark eyes wide. Paula Lopez had worked at the lantern longer than anyone, and she'd taken Alyssa under her wing from day one. "You okay? I heard about last night." "I'm fine." Alyssa tied her apron. "Fine?" Paula lowered her voice. "Marcus said some rich guy went off on you, and then some other rich guy defended you like a knight in a fancy suit. Despite everything," Alyssa's lips twitched. "Something like that. And nothing. He was nice. That's all." Paula studied her. Well, that nice man is back." Alyssa's heart jumped. "What?" "Table 9 again. Been here since we opened. Reading the paper, drinking coffee, looking like he's waiting for something." Paula grinned. "Or someone." "Paula, go. Take his order. And smile, because that man did you a solid." Alyssa took a breath and walked into the dining room. Sure enough, table 9. The defender from last night sat with a newspaper spread before him, but he wasn't reading it. When she approached, he looked up, and something warm crossed his face. "Good morning," she said, professional mask in place. "Morning." He folded the paper. "How are you?" "I'm well, thank you, and thank you for last night." "You didn't have to do that." "Yes, I did." He said it simple. "Sure. Nobody should be treated that way." Silence stretched between them. Nice silence, though. The kind that felt like understanding. "Can I get you anything?" Alyssa asked. "Just coffee and—" He pulled out a card from his jacket. Not a business card, just a small piece of paper, folded once. "This is for you." She took it, confused. "What is it?" "An invitation. Read it when you have a minute." He stood, leaving cash on the table. Way more than coffee cost. "Have a good day, Alyssa." He knew her name. Her name tag, she realized. But still, hearing it from him felt different. She watched him leave, then unfolded the note. "Dinner. Off the clock. Tomorrow night? 7 p.m.? You choose the place." "Ethan." Below that, a phone number. Her hands shook. "You're going, right?" Paula sat across from Alyssa in the break room. Lunch rush had ended, and they had 15 minutes before the dinner prep started. "I don't know." Alyssa reread the note for the 100th time. "I don't know anything about him." "You know he's got manners. You know he stood up for you. You know he's fine." Paula ticked off fingers. "Girl, when's the last time you went on a date?" "This isn't a date." "Then what is it?" Alyssa didn't have an answer. She'd been in Charlotte for 2 years, working double shifts, keeping her head down. Dating felt like a luxury she couldn't afford. But this, what if he's just being nice? Out of pity. Paula rolled her eyes. Men don't wait around restaurants writing notes for pity. They forget about you and move on. This man came back. That was true. He'd come back. "What do I even wear?" The question slipped out before Alyssa could stop it. Paula's face broke into a huge smile. "Now we're talking." Alyssa texted him that afternoon, her thumbs hovering over the keys for 5 minutes before she finally hit send. "This is Alyssa. Okay to dinner. How about Luigi's on 4th Street? His response came fast. "Perfect. I'll pick you up. Send me your address?" She almost said no, almost suggested meeting there. But something in her chest said to trust this, to trust him. She sent her address. The next evening, Alyssa changed outfits 4 times. Nothing looked right. Everything felt too casual or too fancy or too something. She finally settled on a simple navy dress that Paula had helped her pick out last year. Modest but pretty. She wore her hair natural, curls framing her face, and kept makeup light. When the knock came at 7 exactly, her heart raced. She opened the door. Ethan stood there in dark jeans and a grey button-down, no tie. He looked more relaxed than at the restaurant, more real, and when he saw her, his smile was genuine. "Hi," he said. "Hi." She grabbed her purse, suddenly nervous. "I'm ready." His car was nice, sleek and black and definitely expensive, but he didn't make a show of it. Just opened her door, waited for her to settle, then walked around to his side. As they pulled into traffic, Alyssa snuck glances at him. Strong jaw, calm hands on the wheel. Something about him felt steady, safe. "Thank you for coming," Ethan said. "I wasn't sure you would." "I wasn't sure either," she admitted. He laughed. A good sound. Honest. "I like that. Why did you ask me?" The question came out before she could think better of it. Ethan was quiet for a moment, navigating through downtown. "Because when I saw you that night, working hard, being professional even when that guy was awful, I saw someone real, someone strong, and I wanted to know more." Something warm spread through Alyssa's chest. "You don't know anything about me. That's why I asked you to dinner." He glanced at her, smiling. "So I could learn." Luigi's wasn't fancy like the Lantern. It was a family place. Red checkered tablecloths, candles in wine bottles, the smell of garlic and tomato sauce thick in the air. Alyssa loved it immediately. "This okay?" she asked as they sat. "I know you're probably used to—" "This is perfect." Ethan looked around with appreciation. "I eat at too many fancy places for work. This feels real." They ordered pasta for her, chicken parmesan for him, and suddenly Alyssa didn't know what to say. The silence stretched. "So," Ethan started, "tell me about you. How'd you end up at the Lantern?" "Needed a job. They were hiring." She smiled a little. "Not very exciting." "Where are you from?" "Georgia, originally. Small town outside Atlanta. Moved here 2 years ago for a fresh start." "Family. My mom and little brother back home. We talk every Sunday." She took a sip of water. "What about you?" "Born and raised here in Charlotte. My mom's still in town. Dad passed a few years back." "I'm sorry." "Thank you." Ethan's expression went distant for a moment. "He built his business from nothing. Expected me to take it over, which I did." "What kind of business?" "Real estate development. Commercial properties mostly." He said it casual, like it was no big deal. But Alyssa understood. That meant money. Serious money. "Do you like it?" she asked. The question seemed to surprise him. Honestly, I don't know. I'm good at it, but I never asked myself if I liked it." "Maybe you should." Ethan looked at her, really looked at her, and something shifted in his eyes. "Maybe you're right." Their food came, and conversation flowed easier after that. He asked about her dreams. She told him about wanting her own restaurant someday. Nothing big, just a place where people felt welcome, where good food brought folks together. "That's beautiful," Ethan said. "Most people dream about getting rich. You dream about making people happy. Someone's gotta." He laughed again, that same good sound. They talked about movies and music and favorite foods. She learned he loved old jazz and couldn't cook to save his life. He learned she'd never been to a professional basketball game and missed Southern food, something fierce. Time disappeared. Then the lights went out. The restaurant plunged into darkness. Around them, people gasped. Then someone laughed, and suddenly the whole place felt magical. Staff rushed around lighting more candles, and in the warm glow, Luigi himself appeared, apologizing in rapid Italian. "Happens sometimes," Ethan said, his face golden in the candlelight. "Old building." "It's nice," Alyssa said. And it was. Intimate. Special. Their table's candle flickered between them. She reached for her water glass at the same moment he reached for his wine. Their hands touched. Both froze. The contact was brief, just fingers brushing, but something electric passed between them. Alyssa's breath caught. She looked up, met his eyes, and saw her own surprise reflected there. "Sorry," she whispered. "Don't be." His voice was rough. The lights came back on. The moment broke, but something had changed. Something had started. He drove her home too soon. The night had flown by, and now they sat in his car outside her apartment building, neither moving to leave. "I had a really good time," Alyssa said. "Me too." Ethan turned toward her. "Can I see you again?" "I'd like that." "Tomorrow?" She laughed. "You don't waste time. Life's too short to wait." He said it serious, honest. "I work tomorrow night." "Then coffee before your shift?" "Okay." She smiled, feeling light, hopeful. "Okay." She got out of the car, but before closing the door, she leaned back in. "Ethan." "Yeah. Thank you. For tonight. For everything. Thank you for giving me a chance." She watched him drive away, then floated up to her apartment. Inside, she leaned against the door, her heart full of something she hadn't felt in a long time. Possibility. Assessed progress through chapters and calibrated pacing toward word count target. Good progress. I've covered chapters 1 to 3. Now I need to move into Chapter 4, Rumors in the Kitchen, Chapter 5, The Gala Preparation, and Chapter 6, The Whispered Lie. Current word count is approximately 2,000 words. I need about 2,000 more to reach my target. Let me continue with the right pacing to complete Part 1. Morning shift at the Lantern. Hit different now. Alyssa tied her apron, humming under her breath, and didn't notice the stairs until Paula grabbed her elbow. Girl, you need to hear this. Hear what? Paula pulled her toward the break room where two other waitresses, Maria and Kim, were whispering. They went quiet when Alyssa entered. What's going on? Alyssa looked between them. Maria, the younger one, bit her lip. People are talking. About you and that rich guy. Kim jumped in. Someone saw you leave with him yesterday, and Marcus said he's Ethan Ward. The Ethan Ward. His company owns like half the buildings downtown. Alyssa's stomach dropped. We just had dinner. Just dinner with a millionaire. Maria's eyes were wide. Girl, that's huge. It's not, Alyssa started, but Paula cut her off. Let them talk. You're allowed to have a life. But the damage was done. All through her shift, Alyssa felt the whispers following her, the sideways glances, the knowing smiles. By lunch, she wanted to hide in the storage room. Then Daniel Hayes walked in. Alyssa didn't know him, but she knew the type. Expensive suit, expensive watch, expensive smile. He sat at table 4 and asked for her specifically. You're Alyssa? He said when she came over. Yes, sir. Can I get you? I'm Daniel, Ethan Ward's business partner. He leaned back, studying her. Heard you two have been spending time together. Warning bells rang in Alyssa's head. Can I take your order? Just coffee. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Ethan's a good guy, but he's also trusting, sometimes too trusting. You understand? She understood perfectly. This was a test, a warning. I'll get that coffee, she said, voice flat. When she returned, Daniel was on his phone. He took the coffee without looking at her, left a small tip, and walked out. But Alyssa felt his visit like a stain, like suspicion had just walked into her life and made itself at home. Her phone buzzed during her break. Ethan, still on for tomorrow? I have a favor to ask. She hesitated, thinking of Daniel's cold assessment. But then she remembered Ethan's laugh, his kindness, the way he'd defended her. What favor? There's a charity gala at the Lantern tomorrow night. Would you come with me? As my guest, not as staff. Alyssa's heart raced. A gala. With him. In front of everyone she worked with. Are you sure? Very sure. I want you there. Say yes. She thought about it for exactly 3 seconds. Yes. You're going to a gala. Paula sat on Alyssa's bed, watching her friend pace. At the Lantern, with Ethan Ward. I know, it's crazy. It's incredible, girl. Do you know how many women would kill for this? That's what worries me. Alyssa stopped pacing. What if I don't fit in? What if everyone stares? They will stare. You're gorgeous, and you're with one of the richest men in Charlotte. Let them stare. I don't have anything to wear. Paula stood, walked to Alyssa's closet, and pulled out a dress still in dry cleaning plastic. Emerald green. Simple but elegant. Paula had worn it to her sister's wedding last year. This one, it's perfect. Paula, I can't. You can and you will. Consider it a loan from your fairy godmother. Paula held the dress up to Alyssa. Trust me, you'll stop traffic. Alyssa touched the soft fabric. It was beautiful, more beautiful than anything she owned. What if this is a mistake? She whispered. Paula set the dress down and took Alyssa's hands. Listen to me. You've spent 2 years working yourself half to death, never taking chances, never letting yourself want anything. This man wants to spend time with you. Let yourself have this. You deserve good things too. Tears pricked Alyssa's eyes. What if he realizes I'm not worth it? Then he's stupid. But he doesn't seem stupid. Paula squeezed her hands. He seems like someone who sees what I see. A strong, beautiful, amazing woman who's scared of her own worth. Go to this gala. Wear this dress. And let yourself shine. The next evening, a black car pulled up outside Alyssa's building. Not Ethan's usual car. This one had a driver. Alyssa smoothed the emerald dress one more time, checked her reflection, and went downstairs. The driver, an older man with kind eyes, opened the door for her. Miss Grant, Mr. Ward is waiting at the venue. He asked me to bring you there. She slid into the leather interior, trying not to feel like Cinderella. Her hands shook slightly. This was real. This was happening. The drive to the Lantern felt too short. When they pulled up to the front entrance, lights blazed, and people in evening wear clustered at the door. Alyssa's stomach flipped. The driver opened her door. She stepped out into camera flashes and curious stares. For a second she froze. Then Ethan was there, appearing at her side like he'd been waiting. He wore a black tuxedo that fit him perfectly, but his eyes were only on her. "Wow," he said softly. "You look incredible. You don't look so bad yourself." She tried to sound confident, but her voice shook. He offered his arm. She took it, feeling his warmth through the fabric. Together they walked toward the entrance of the Lantern, the same place where she served food, where she'd been humiliated, where her life had been so different just days ago. Now she was walking in as a guest, as someone who mattered. Whispers followed them. She heard fragments. "That's Ethan Ward." "Who's she?" "Wait, isn't that the waitress?" Her steps faltered. Ethan felt it and leaned close. "Ignore them. You're with me. That's all that matters." Inside, the Lantern had transformed. Crystal chandeliers sparkled. A string quartet played in the corner. Men in tuxedos and women in designer gowns mingled with champagne glasses. It was beautiful, intimidating, everything Alyssa had only seen from behind an apron. Mr. Carter, the owner, spotted them. His eyebrows rose, but he nodded respectfully. "Mr. Ward, welcome. Thank you for hosting tonight." Ethan kept his hand on the small of Alyssa's back. Protective, sure. They moved through the crowd. Ethan introduced her to people, business associates, old friends, charity organizers. Everyone was polite, but Alyssa saw the curiosity in their eyes, the questions they didn't ask. Paula appeared in her work uniform, carrying a tray of appetizers. When she saw Alyssa, her face broke into a huge grin. She mouthed, "You look amazing," before disappearing into the crowd. "You okay?" Ethan asked. "Yeah, just surreal. Want some air?" They stepped onto the restaurant's back patio, where fairy lights twinkled above small tables. Fewer people out here, quieter. "Thank you for coming," Ethan said. "I know this isn't easy." "Why did you invite me?" Alyssa asked. "Really?" He was quiet for a moment, looking at the lights. "Because I wanted to. Because when I'm with you, I feel like myself. Not the business guy, not the developer, just me. And I wanted you here tonight, because this matters to me, and you matter to me." Her heart squeezed. "Ethan, I know it's fast," he continued. "I know we just met, but there's something here, Alyssa. I feel it. Tell me you feel it too." She did. God help her, she did. But fear crept in. Fear of the whispers, the stares, the differences between them. "I do," she whispered, "but I'm scared." "Of what?" "Of this being temporary. Of you realizing I don't fit in your world." He stepped closer, taking her hands. "You don't need to fit my world. I want you in it exactly as you are." Before she could respond, Daniel Hayes stepped onto the patio. He smiled that sharp smile. "Ethan, there you are. We need to talk about the Harper deal." His eyes slid to Alyssa. "Alone." Ethan's jaw tightened. "Later, Daniel." "It's fine," Alyssa said quickly. "I should go back inside anyway." She slipped away before Ethan could stop her. Inside, the party had grown louder. She accepted a glass of champagne from a passing waiter, not Paula this time, someone she didn't know, and tried to blend into the crowd. That's when she heard it. Two women stood near the bar, their voices carrying over the music. "I heard she used to date Marcus Chen. You know, that investor Ethan works with sometimes." "Really? That's awkward." "Apparently she dated him for his money, then moved on when she met Ethan." Alyssa's blood went cold. Marcus Chen. She knew the name from the Lantern. He'd come in a few times, but she'd never dated him, never even had a conversation beyond taking his order. This was a lie, a complete lie. She turned to find Daniel Hayes watching her from across the room. He raised his glass slightly, his smile knowing. He'd started this rumor. He'd planted it. Alyssa's hands shook. She set down her champagne, suddenly desperate for air, for escape, for... "Alyssa!" Ethan appeared at her side, Daniel following behind him. "Everything okay?" "Fine." The word came out strangled. "Marcus Chen just arrived," Daniel said casually. "I was just telling Ethan how you and Marcus know each other." Her stomach dropped. "We don't..." "Oh, I thought..." Daniel's expression was all fake confusion. "My mistake." But the damage was done. She saw it in Ethan's eyes. The question. The tiny seed of doubt. Marcus Chen himself walked by, a tall Asian man in his 40s. He glanced at Alyssa, no recognition in his eyes, and kept walking. "You know Marcus?" Ethan asked her quietly. "I've served him at the restaurant." "That's it." Her voice was desperate now. "That's all." "Of course." But Ethan's voice had changed, cooled slightly. Daniel watched them, satisfaction flickering across his face. "Well, I'll leave you two to catch up. Enjoy the evening." He walked away, leaving poison in his wake. The gala continued around them. Music played, people laughed, but Alyssa felt the world tilting, felt something precious starting to crack. "Ethan," she started, reaching for his hand. He let her take it, but didn't squeeze back. "It's fine. Daniel's always starting drama. I don't—" "Ethan!" A woman called his name. Business awaited. People wanted his attention. "We'll talk later," he said to Alyssa. Then he was pulled away into the crowd. She stood alone in her emerald dress, surrounded by wealth and whispers, feeling more isolated than ever. The evening that had started with such promise now tasted like ash. Paula found her near the coat check. "Girl, you okay? You look pale. I need to go home." "What happened?" "I don't know. Everything. Nothing. I need to leave." Paula looked at her for a long moment, then nodded. "Let me get your coat." Alyssa cast one last look at the party. Ethan stood across the room, surrounded by people, looking successful and untouchable. He glanced up, caught her eye. She turned away. The apartment felt too quiet. Alyssa sat on her bed, still in the emerald dress, replaying the night. The beauty of it, the horror of it, the way Ethan's face had changed when Daniel mentioned Marcus Chen's name. She should have known, should have realized that stepping into his world meant stepping into something complicated, something she wasn't equipped to handle. Her phone buzzed. "Ethan, where did you go? I looked everywhere." She stared at the message. What could she say? That she'd run because she felt the ground shifting beneath her, that she'd seen doubt in his eyes and couldn't bear it, needed to leave. "Thank you for inviting me. Can I call you?" She turned off her phone. Tomorrow she'd face whatever came next. Tonight, she needed to breathe, to think, to protect the small piece of her heart that was already too invested in a man she barely knew, in a world she'd never fit into, in a dream that was already turning into something else. The emerald dress hung on her closet door, beautiful and mocking, a reminder of one perfect evening and all the ways it had gone wrong. The morning came with messages Alyssa didn't want to read. She'd turned her phone back on to 23 texts and 7 missed calls, most from Ethan, a few from Paula. One from her mum just checking in like always. She ignored them all and got ready for work. Same routine, same uniform, but everything felt different now, heavy. The lantern felt like enemy territory when she walked through the door. Conversations stopped. Eyes followed her. Maria actually turned away. "Alyssa," Mr. Carter appeared from his office. "My office, please." Her heart sank. This was it. She was getting fired. But Mr. Carter just closed the door and sighed. "I'm not going to ask about last night. That's your business, but I need to know, can you still work here? People are talking, it might make things uncomfortable." "I can handle it." She lifted her chin. "I'm sure you can. But should you have to?" His voice was kind, sad even. "Think about it. That's all I'm asking." She thought about it through her entire shift, thought about it while people whispered, thought about it when Daniel Hayes walked in again, ordering lunch like he hadn't destroyed her life the night before. He smiled at her. "How's Ethan?" "I wouldn't know." She kept her voice flat. "Really? That's surprising. I thought you two were close." He paused. "Or maybe he's rethinking things. Men like Ethan need to be careful who they trust." The words were poison wrapped in politeness. Alyssa wanted to throw his water in his face. Instead, she walked away. During her break, Paula cornered her. "You need to talk to Ethan." "No, I don't." "Girl, he called the restaurant 3 times looking for you. Whatever happened, he believed Daniel's lies. I saw it in his face." Alyssa's voice cracked. "He doubted me. Then make him understand the truth. Why should I have to prove myself? Why should I have to defend against lies I didn't even know existed?" Tears threatened. "I don't belong in his world, Paula. Last night proved it." Her phone buzzed. "Ethan again. Please talk to me. I know I messed up. Let me explain." She almost responded, almost gave in, but then she remembered the doubt in his eyes, the way he'd pulled his hand from hers, the whispers that had followed her all night. She deleted the message. That evening the gala continued with a second night. Same venue, same crowd. Alyssa worked it, this time as staff, back in her uniform, back in her place. She told herself it was fine. This was reality. Last night had been a fantasy. Ethan arrived early. She saw him scanning the room, looking for someone, looking for her. When their eyes met across the dining room, he started toward her. But Mr. Carter intercepted him, leading him to his table. Ethan kept glancing at Alyssa, his expression pained. She turned away and focused on her work, refilled water glasses, took orders, smiled at people who'd seen her in an emerald dress just 24 hours ago, and now pretended not to recognize her. Daniel appeared at Ethan's table. They talked, heads close together. Daniel gestured toward the bar where Marcus Chen stood with a group of investors. Alyssa watched from across the room as Daniel spoke, as Ethan's expression darkened, as something broke between them that couldn't be fixed with words. Then Ethan stood, walked toward Marcus Chen. The room went quiet, sensing drama. "Marcus," Ethan's voice carried, "did you date Alyssa Grant?" The room held its breath. Alyssa froze, her tray trembling in her hands. Marcus Chen looked confused. "Who?" "Alyssa, the waitress." Ethan gestured toward her. Marcus glanced at Alyssa. I mean, she's taken my order a few times, but I don't know her. You never dated her?" "No." Marcus looked genuinely bewildered. "Why would you think that?" Ethan turned to Daniel. I said I'd heard rumors." Daniel shrugged. "I was trying to protect you from making a mistake with someone who..." "Who what?" Ethan's voice rose. "Who's beneath me? Who doesn't have enough money? Who works for a living? Who might be using you?" Daniel's voice went cold. "Look at her, Ethan. She saw an opportunity and took it. Can you blame her? You're wealthy, successful." "Stop." Ethan's hands clenched. "Just stop." But the damage was done. Everyone was looking at Alyssa now, judging, calculating, deciding if she was a gold digger or just naive. She felt something inside her crack, not just embarrassment, not just hurt. Something deeper, the part of her that had started to hope, to believe, to dream that maybe love could cross the lines that divided people. "Ethan." His name came out broken. "Don't." He turned to her, and she saw it in his eyes. Not doubt anymore. Something worse. Anger. At Daniel, at himself, at the situation. And underneath that, fear. Fear that maybe, somewhere in the lies, there was a grain of truth. "Did you know Marcus before?" he asked her, his voice loud enough for the room to hear. "I served him food." Her voice shook, "that's all." "But Daniel said..." "Daniel lied." The words burst out of her. "He's been lying since he met me, and you believed him over me." "I didn't..." "You did. Last night, when he mentioned Marcus's name, I saw it. You doubted me. You wondered if maybe I was exactly what everyone thinks, some poor waitress trying to trap a rich man." Silence crashed over the room. Cameras flashed. This wasn't just drama anymore. This was a spectacle. Ethan's face went pale. "Alyssa, never look at me again." The words came from somewhere deep and fierce inside her. "I don't need to prove myself to you or anyone else. I know who I am. I know what I'm worth. And it's more than this." She set her tray down on the nearest table, untied her apron, and walked toward the exit, head high, even as tears streamed down her face. Behind her, the whispers started. The gossip, the judgment. She heard fragments as she pushed through the crowd. "Can you believe her? So dramatic." Probably was after his money. She made it outside before the sobs came. The rain had started, cold November rain that soaked through her uniform in seconds. She didn't care. She kept walking. A car pulled up beside her. Ethan's car. He rolled down the window. "Alyssa, please, get in the car. Let me explain." "Explain what? That you believed lies about me? That you humiliated me in front of everyone?" She stopped walking, but didn't look at him. "I'm done, Ethan. Whatever this was, it's over. I made a mistake. You made a choice. You chose to doubt me, to question me, to let your business partner poison what we had before it even had a chance." Now she looked at him, and her eyes blazed through the tears. "I deserve better than someone who doesn't trust me." "You're right." His voice broke. "You're absolutely right. But please, just..." "No." She stepped back from the car. "I'm going home, alone, and I don't want to see you again." She turned and walked away. This time he didn't follow. 3 days later, Alyssa quit the Lantern. Mr. Carter didn't try to stop her, just nodded sadly and wished her well. Paula hugged her tight in the parking lot. "What will you do? Find another job. Move on." Alyssa smiled, but it felt brittle. "I'll be okay." "You sure?" "No." "Yes." She spent a week sending out applications. Coffee shops, diners, anywhere but fancy restaurants where wealthy people came to forget that others struggled. Her phone stayed mostly silent. Ethan had stopped calling after that night. Maybe he'd finally understood. Maybe he'd moved on. Either way, it hurt less than she'd expected. Or maybe she was just getting numb. Paula called every day. Her mom called every Sunday, sensing something wrong but not pushing. Alyssa told her a simplified version. Met a guy, didn't work out, moving forward. "Baby," her mom said in that voice that held all her love and wisdom, Sometimes God closes doors to protect us from rooms we were never meant to enter. I know, Mama, but that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. No, it doesn't. 2 weeks after the gala, Alyssa started work at Bean and Bloom Cafe in a quieter neighborhood 20 minutes from downtown. Small place, local crowd. Tips weren't as good, but the atmosphere felt warmer, real. The owner, Mrs. Kim, was a Korean woman in her 60s who asked few questions and expected hard work. You know coffee? I can learn. Good. Start Monday. Monday morning, Alyssa tied on a green apron and learned how to work the espresso machine. The barista training her was a guy named Leo, early 20s, theater major, big smile. Don't worry, he said, watching her struggle with the milk steamer. Everyone burns themselves at first. Encouraging, she muttered, but she smiled. The cafe was nothing like the Lantern. Mismatched furniture, local art on the walls, a bookshelf where customers could trade paperbacks, students studied in corners, elderly couples shared pastries. A mom's group met every Tuesday. It felt like community, like home. You're good at this, Leo said at the end of her first week. Natural with people. Thanks. She wiped down the counter, feeling something close to peace. I like it here. We like having you. That evening, walking home, Alyssa saw a billboard. Ward Development. Ethan's company. His face wasn't on it, but she knew. She looked away quickly, but the ache followed her home. In her apartment, she made tea and sat by the window. The city lights sparkled below. Somewhere out there, Ethan was probably in his penthouse, living his life. Had he thought about her? Did he regret what happened? Did it matter? Her phone buzzed. Paula, miss you. How's the new job? Good. Really good. You okay? Alyssa stared at the question. Was she okay? She was surviving, working, breathing, but okay, getting there. Proud of you, girl. Those words meant more than Paula probably knew. Alyssa set down her phone and looked out at the city. She was getting there, one day at a time. Meanwhile, across town, Ethan sat in his office long after everyone else had gone home. The city stretched below him, glittering and cold. He couldn't stop thinking about her. The look in her eyes that last night. The tears, the fury, the hurt he'd caused. He'd replayed the gala 1,000 times. Daniel's lies, his own stupidity, the way he'd let doubt creep in instead of trusting what he knew in his heart. That Alyssa was real, honest, good. A knock on his door. His assistant, Jennifer, poked her head in. Mr. Ward, there's someone here to see you, says it's important. I'm not. It's about Daniel Hayes. Ethan looked up. Send them in. A young man entered. Ethan recognized him from the company. Marcus's assistant, maybe. Mr. Ward, I'm sorry to bother you, but I thought you should know. The young man looked nervous. That rumor about Alyssa Grant and Marcus Chen? Daniel started it. I heard him on the phone with a gossip contact feeding them the story. He was bragging about it. Everything went still. What? Daniel wanted to break you two up. He thought you were getting distracted from business. I heard him tell someone that he needed to eliminate the waitress problem before you did something stupid like get serious with her. Rage flooded through Ethan. Pure, white-hot rage. Why are you telling me this? Because it wasn't right. What he did to her, to you. The assistant shifted. I don't want to work for people like that. I already quit. But I thought you should know the truth. After he left, Ethan sat in his office, hands shaking. Daniel had destroyed everything. Had poisoned the best thing that happened to Ethan in years. And Ethan had let him. Had doubted Alyssa, had failed her. He grabbed his phone, started to call her, then stopped. What could he say? She'd told him never to look at her again. She'd drawn that line. But he had to try, had to make this right. He needed a plan, needed to prove to her, and to himself, that he could be better, that he could earn her trust back. First, though, he needed to deal with Daniel. The confrontation happened 3 days later at Daniel's office. Ethan walked in without knocking. Ethan! Daniel looked up from his desk, surprised. What are you? You lied. Ethan's voice was ice. About Alyssa, about Marcus, all of it. Daniel's expression flickered. I don't know what you're... Stop, I have proof. I know you started the rumor. I know you did it deliberately to sabotage my relationship with her. Silence. Then Daniel leaned back in his chair, his mask dropping. So what if I did? She was a distraction. You were getting soft, losing focus on the business. I did what I had to do. You destroyed an innocent woman's reputation to serve your agenda. I protected our investment, our company. You should be thanking me. Ethan laughed, but there was no humor in it. You think destroying someone to protect profit is acceptable? You think that's what this company is about? This company is about making money. That's all it's ever been about. Not anymore. Ethan pulled papers from his briefcase. I'm ending our partnership, buying you out. These are the terms. Sign them. Daniel's face went red. You can't. I can, and I am. You have 48 hours to accept the offer, or I take this to the board and expose what you did. Either way, you're done here. Over some waitress? Daniel stood, furious. You're throwing away our partnership over... Say one more word about her. Go ahead. Ethan stepped forward. Give me a reason. Daniel glared but said nothing. Smart choice. Ethan walked out, leaving the papers on Daniel's desk. He felt lighter, cleaner, like maybe he'd finally done one thing right. But it wasn't enough. Not nearly enough. He needed to find Alyssa. Needed to tell her everything. Needed to apologize properly, completely, without pride or excuses. He just had to figure out where she'd gone. 4 weeks after the gala, on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, Ethan walked into Bean and Bloom Cafe. He'd been searching for Alyssa for days, calling contacts, asking around, until finally someone mentioned seeing her at a cafe across town. He ordered coffee from a young guy with a theater kid energy, then found a corner table and waited. Watched the door. Hoped. And then she appeared from the back room, laughing at something the theater kid said, and Ethan's world stopped. She looked different, lighter somehow. Her hair was pulled back, and she wore a green apron over jeans and a simple shirt. No makeup, no fancy dress. Just Alyssa, pure and real, beautiful. She froze when she saw him. The laughter died. Her expression shuttered. Ethan stood slowly, unsure. Hi, what are you doing here? Her voice was cold. I needed to see you. I told you. I know what you told me, and you were right to say it. He stayed where he was, not approaching. But I have things I need to tell you. Things you deserve to hear. Ethan, I'm working. I'll wait. I'll wait all day if I have to. He sat back down. I'm not going anywhere. She stared at him for a long moment, emotions flickering across her face. Then she turned and walked back to the counter. He waited. Hours passed. The lunch rush came and went. Ethan stayed in his corner, nursing cold coffee, watching Alyssa work. She never looked at him directly, but he could tell she was aware of him. Every movement carried tension. Finally, at 3 o'clock, she approached his table. We close at 4. Then I have an hour. She sat down across from him. Talk. The words he'd rehearsed disappeared. I'm sorry. For everything. For doubting you. For listening to Daniel. For humiliating you in public. I was scared and stupid, and I hurt you when I should have been protecting you. Why were you scared? The question caught him off guard. Of being used. Of being wanted for my money instead of myself. It's happened before. Daniel used that fear against us both. Daniel didn't make you doubt me. You chose to doubt me. You're right. He met her eyes. And that's on me. Not him. Me. I made a choice, and it was the wrong one. But I want you to know, I learned the truth. Daniel admitted to starting the rumors. I ended my partnership with him. I've been trying to fix what I broke. Something flickered in her expression. You ended your partnership? He destroyed something precious to serve himself. I won't work with people like that. So you found out he lied and now you're here. What do you want from me, Ethan? Nothing. The word came out firm. True. I don't want anything except for you to know the truth. You were right about me. You were right about everything. I let my pride and fear control me, and I lost you because of it. You never had me. The words stung, but he nodded. Maybe not. But I wanted to. God, Alyssa. I wanted to. Silence settled between them. Outside, rain started again, drumming against the windows. I'm okay now, Alyssa said quietly. I'm healing. I'm moving forward. Coming here. Bringing all this back up. It's not fair. I know. But you deserved an apology. A real one. And you deserve to know that none of what happened was your fault. You did nothing wrong. You were perfect. And I was too broken to see it. People aren't perfect. You were perfect for me. He stood, knowing this was goodbye. That's all I needed to say. I'll leave you alone now. I hope you find someone who deserves you. Someone who trusts you from the start. Someone better than I was. He started for the door. Ethan. He turned. She stood by the table, her expression unreadable. Thank you for telling me about Daniel, about everything. She paused. I hope you find what you're looking for too. I already found it. He smiled sadly. I just lost it before I was smart enough to hold on. He walked out into the rain, leaving Alyssa standing in the warm cafe, her heart full of things she couldn't name. Leo appeared at her side. Ex-boyfriend? Something like that. He looks miserable. He should be. but her voice lacked conviction. That night, Alyssa couldn't sleep. She kept replaying Ethan's words, his apology, the pain in his eyes. He'd ended his partnership, had come to find her, had admitted his mistakes. But was that enough? Could trust be rebuilt once broken? She didn't know. The next week passed quietly. Ethan didn't come back to the cafe. Alyssa told herself she was glad, told herself it was better this way, but she found herself looking up every time the door opened, found herself disappointed when it was anyone else. Paula visited on her day off. You need to tell me everything, and I mean everything. Over coffee, Alyssa explained. The cafe visit, Ethan's apology, her confusion. So he came to apologize and ask for nothing back. Paula looked impressed. Girl, that's growth. Or manipulation. Or growth. Paula leaned forward. Look, I'm not saying jump back into his arms, but he did what you asked. He admitted he was wrong. He fixed what he could fix. What more do you want? I want, Alyssa trailed off. I want to not be scared anymore. Of him? Of hoping again. Of trusting. Of believing that maybe love could work. Her voice dropped. He hurt me, Paula. Really hurt me. How do I know he won't do it again? You don't. Paula took her hand. That's what trust is. A leap. A risk. But here's what I know. That man looked wrecked. Genuinely wrecked. Not rich boy upset. Real heartbreak. Maybe that means something. Maybe it did. That evening, Alyssa was closing the cafe when two men in masks burst through the door. Her heart stopped. Cash. Now. One of them held a gun. Okay. Alyssa's hands shook as she moved toward the register. Just stay calm. Leo stood frozen by the espresso machine. Mrs. Kim had already gone home. They were alone. The gunman followed Alyssa to the register. Faster. Her fingers fumbled with the keys. She got the drawer open, started pulling out bills. The cafe door burst open. Ethan rushed in, took in the scene in a second, and lunged at the gunman. Run! He shouted at Alyssa. Everything happened in slow motion and too fast at once. The gun skittered across the floor. The second robber grabbed it, but Leo threw a chair, hitting him. Both robbers ran for the door, shouting, disappearing into the street. Silence crashed down. Then Alyssa saw the blood, Ethan's arm, where he'd hit the counter. Not from a gunshot, just a deep cut from broken glass. But blood poured from it, soaking his sleeve. Oh my God! She ran to him. Ethan! Ethan! I'm okay. But his voice was shaky. Are you okay? Did they hurt you? No. But you... She pressed napkins against the wound. We need to call 911. Leo already had his phone out, dialing. Customers who'd run outside started coming back. Everything was chaos. But Alyssa only saw Ethan, saw him kneeling on the cafe floor, blood on his hands, eyes on her. He'd come back, not for coffee, not by chance. He'd come back for her, and he'd risked himself to protect her. Why are you here? She whispered. Why did you come back? I never left. His voice was rough. I've been watching the cafe every evening. Making sure you were safe. I couldn't stop myself. I needed to know you were okay. Tears spilled down her cheeks. You idiot. You could have been killed. Rather me than you. The ambulance arrived. Paramedics checked them both, bandaged Ethan's arm. The police came, took statements. Through it all, Alyssa stayed close to Ethan, her hand in his, neither of them letting go. Later, after the police left and Leo closed up, and the cafe finally went quiet, Alyssa sat with Ethan in the back room. His arm was properly bandaged now. He'd need stitches, the paramedic said, but he'd refused to go to the hospital until he knew she was okay. You need to go get that looked at, Alyssa said. In a minute. He looked at her. Are you sure you're okay? I'm okay. She touched his bandaged arm gently. Because of you. I didn't think. I just saw them threatening you and You saved me. Her voice broke. Why? After everything I said, after telling you to leave me alone, why were you still here? Because I love you. The words came out simple, true. I've loved you since that first dinner. Maybe before. And even if you never forgive me, even if you never want to see me again, I'll still love you. I'll still make sure you're safe. That's just what it is. She stared at him through tears. You love me. Yeah. He smiled that sad smile. I do. I told you never to look at me again. I know, I'm sorry, I couldn't help it. She laughed through her tears. You're impossible. I'm in love. He stood slowly, wincing. I should go. Let you process everything. Get this arm checked out. Ethan. She stood too, closing the distance between them. Thank you. For tonight. For the apology. For everything. You don't have to thank me. I do. She took a breath. And I need to tell you something. I was scared, I am scared. But tonight, when I saw you rush in, when I thought you might get hurt," her voice shook, "I realized I still care. More than I want to. More than is probably smart." Hope lit his eyes. "Alyssa, I'm not saying we go back to how things were. We can't. Too much happened." She touched his uninjured hand. "But maybe we could start over. Slowly, carefully, as friends first." "I'll take friends." His smile was real this time. "I'll take anything you're willing to give. Then let me take you to the hospital, get that arm fixed, and maybe we could talk. Really talk." "I'd like that." They left the cafe together, walking into the cool night air, and for the first time in weeks, Alyssa felt something like hope stirring in her chest. Maybe broken things could be mended. Maybe trust could be rebuilt. Maybe love deserved a second chance. The emergency room smelled like antiseptic and old coffee. Alyssa sat beside Ethan while a doctor stitched up his arm. 12 stitches. The cut had been deeper than it looked. "You're lucky," the doctor said. "Quarter-inch to the left, and you'd have hit an artery." Ethan barely flinched. "I feel lucky." He was looking at Alyssa when he said it. After they left the hospital, Ethan's driver, the same kind man who'd picked up Alyssa for the gala, was waiting, but Ethan waved him off. "I'll walk her home," he told the driver. "Get some rest, James." "Sir, your arm—" "I'm fine, really." They walked through quiet streets, neither speaking at first. The city felt different at this hour, softer, less demanding. "You really were watching the cafe every night?" Alyssa finally asked. "Every night since I found you there." He kept his eyes forward. "I know how it sounds. Creepy, probably. But I couldn't stop myself. After what happened with Daniel, with the gala, I needed to know you were safe. That's not creepy." She pulled her jacket tighter. "That's kind of sweet, actually." "Yeah?" "Yeah." She glanced at him. "Misguided, maybe, but sweet." He laughed. "I'll take misguided and sweet." They reached her building too soon. Alyssa stopped at the entrance, suddenly not ready to say goodbye. "So," Ethan said, "friends?" "Friends." The word felt strange, incomplete. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything." "When you said you loved me, did you mean it? Or was it just the adrenaline?" He turned to face her fully. "I meant it, every word. I've been in love with you since that candlelight moment at Luigi's, maybe even before. And nothing that happened, not the fights, not the separation, not my own stupidity, changed that." Her heart squeezed. "Love isn't enough sometimes. I know. That's why I'm not asking for anything more than friendship. I just needed you to know the truth." He stepped back. "Get some rest. It's been a long night." "Ethan," she caught his good arm, "thank you for everything tonight." "Any time." He meant it literally. She watched him walk away, his injured arm held carefully at his side, and felt something shift inside her. Fear was still there. Doubt was still there. But underneath that, something else was growing. Maybe forgiveness, maybe hope. The next morning, Alyssa showed up at work with 2 coffees, one for herself, one for the man sitting at the corner table. Ethan looked up when she approached, surprise crossing his face. "I thought you opened at 7. "I do, you're here early. I wanted to make sure you felt safe after last night." He gestured to his corner. "I can leave if you want." Instead, she sat down across from him and slid the second coffee his way. "Thank you for being here, for caring." He wrapped his hands around the cup. "How are you?" "Really?" "Shaken, but okay." She took a sip of her own coffee. "I keep replaying it. What could have happened? What did happen? You getting hurt?" "I'm fine, just a scratch." 12 stitches isn't a scratch. Worth it." His eyes held hers. "I'd take 100 more to keep you safe." They sat in comfortable silence as morning light filled the cafe. Other staff started arriving. Leo waved at Ethan like they were old friends now. "He's a good kid," Ethan said. "Jumped in without hesitation. He wants to be an action hero." Alyssa smiled. "Last night probably made his year." "Mine too." Ethan's voice went soft. "For different reasons." The moment stretched between them. Delicate, precious. "I should get to work," Alyssa said, but she didn't move. "And I should go to the office." Ethan didn't move either. Finally, she stood. "Will you come back? Tomorrow?" "If you want me to." "I want you to." His smile could have lit the whole city. That evening, Paula showed up at Alyssa's apartment with takeout and questions. "A robbery. Girl, are you okay?" She set down bags of Chinese food and pulled Alyssa into a hug. "I'm okay. Ethan was there. He stopped them." Paula pulled back, eyes wide. "Ethan was there. At the cafe." Alyssa explained everything. The weeks of him watching from outside, the robbery, his injury, their conversation after. "Wait." Paula held up a hand. He's been watching the cafe every night to make sure you're safe and you didn't know? I know how it sounds. It sounds romantic as hell, that's how it sounds. Paula opened the food containers. That man is gone for you. He said he loves me. Of course he does. Stevie Wonder could see that. Paula handed Alyssa chopsticks. Question is, what are you going to do about it? I don't know. We agreed to be friends. Friends? Paula snorted. Girl, please. You two are not friends. You're two people in love who are scared of getting hurt again. I am scared. Alyssa picked at her lo mein. What if he doubts me again? What if I let him back in and he breaks my heart worse? What if you don't let him back in and spend the rest of your life wondering what if? Paula's voice went gentle. Look, I'm not saying rush into anything, but that man ended his business partnership for you, got himself hurt protecting you, told you he loves you expecting nothing back. That's not the same guy who messed up at the gala. People don't change that fast. Maybe they do when they realize what they lost. Paula squeezed her hand. Just think about it. That's all I'm saying. After Paula left, Alyssa lay in bed thinking. Her phone sat on the nightstand. Ethan's number saved but unused. She could text him, just to check on his arm, to say goodnight, to bridge the distance between them. Her fingers hovered over the screen. How's your arm? She hit send before she could overthink it. His response came immediately, sore but healing. How are you? Can't sleep. Keep thinking about last night. Me too. Want to talk about it? She called him. Didn't even think about it. Just needed to hear his voice. Hey, he answered. Voice rough like maybe he'd been sleeping, or trying to. Hey, sorry if I woke you. You didn't. I was reading. A pause. It's good to hear your voice. They talked for an hour. About nothing. About everything. He told her about his day, the meetings he'd sat through thinking only of her. She told him about the cafe, Mrs. Kim's concern, Leo's dramatic retelling of the robbery. He's making himself sound like an action star, Alyssa said, laughing. He kind of was. Ethan's voice held a smile. Kid's got heart. So do you. Silence. The good kind. Alyssa, Ethan said quietly, thank you for calling, for giving me this chance. I know I don't deserve it. Maybe we both deserve a fresh start. I'd like that. They said goodnight, but the conversation lingered in Alyssa's mind long after she hung up. She fell asleep smiling. The next few days settled into a rhythm. Ethan came to the cafe every morning. Alyssa brought him coffee. They talked. Easy conversation that felt natural, safe. He never pushed for more, never made her uncomfortable. Just showed up, consistent and steady. Other customers noticed. Mrs. Kim noticed. Leo definitely noticed. Your boyfriend's here, Leo would announce every morning. He's not my boyfriend. Sure. But even Alyssa had to admit it felt like something. Whatever they were building, it felt real. On the fourth day, Daniel Hayes walked into the cafe. Alyssa saw him and froze. Ethan, sitting at his usual table, stood immediately, his body going tense. Well, Daniel looked around the cafe with disdain. This is quite the step down from the lantern. Get out. Ethan's voice was cold. Relax. I'm not here to cause trouble. Daniel's smile was sharp. Just wanted to see what all the fuss was about. The woman worth throwing away a fortune for. I said get out. You know the board voted against the buyout? They don't want me gone. Too valuable. Daniel stepped closer. Looks like you're stuck with me, partner. Ethan moved fast. 1 second he was across the room. The next, he had Daniel by the collar. Listen carefully. You come near Alyssa again, you even think about her, and I'll destroy you. I have evidence of your lies, recordings, witnesses. Everything I need to bury you. You're bluffing. Try me. Ethan's voice dropped. I bought the lantern yesterday. Outright. And I'm filing a lawsuit against you for defamation on Alyssa's behalf. So you've got two choices. Accept my buyout offer and disappear, or fight me in court and lose everything. Daniel's face went pale. You can't. I already did. Papers are being filed today. You've got 48 hours to decide. Ethan released him with a small shove. Now get out before I have you arrested for trespassing. Daniel straightened his collar, trying to maintain dignity, but fear flickered in his eyes. He looked at Alyssa. This is all your fault. No, Alyssa found her voice. This is yours. You lied. You manipulated. You tried to ruin people's lives for profit. This is what happens when you treat people like pawns. Daniel's jaw clenched. Then he turned and walked out. The cafe was silent. Every customer had watched the confrontation. Ethan turned to Alyssa. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring that here. You bought the lantern. She couldn't process it. For me? For us. He stepped closer. For the chance to make things right. For the possibility that maybe someday you'd want to come back there, to where we met, to where everything started. Tears pricked her eyes. Ethan, you don't have to say anything. I just needed you to know I'm fighting for this. For us, even if us only means friendship right now. She wanted to say something. Wanted to tell him that maybe friendship wasn't enough anymore. That maybe she was ready for more, but fear still held her tongue. Thank you, she whispered instead. He nodded and returned to his table. But everything had shifted. Again. That evening, Ethan's mother called him. Clara Ward had impeccable timing. Did you really buy the lantern? She asked without preamble. Hello to you too, Mom. Don't be cheeky, did you? Yes. He poured himself a drink in his empty penthouse. It's a good investment. It's a grand gesture for a woman you claim to be just friends with. Ethan sighed. Mom, I met her, you know, that night of the gala. Clara's voice softened. Before everything went wrong, she was lovely, genuine, the kind of woman I always hoped you'd find. Then I ruined it. Then you're fixing it. A pause. Your father would be proud, not of the mistakes, but of you owning them, of you choosing what matters over what's easy. Ethan's throat tightened. I just want her back. I know, sweetheart, but you can't buy your way back into her heart. Money can't fix what's broken between you. Only time and trust can do that. So what do I do? Exactly what you're doing. Show up, be honest, be patient, and let her come to you when she's ready. Clara's voice held wisdom and love. Love isn't about grand gestures, Ethan. It's about showing up every day, being there, being real. After they hung up, Ethan stood by his window, looking out at the city. Somewhere out there, Alyssa was in her small apartment, probably thinking about him the way he was thinking about her. He'd wait. However long it took, he'd wait. A week passed, then 2. Ethan came to the cafe every day. Alyssa brought him coffee. They talked, laughed, shared stories. The space between them shrank bit by bit. He told her about his childhood, about his father's expectations, about the loneliness of wealth. She told him about Georgia, about her brother's dreams of college, about why she'd moved to Charlotte, to build something of her own away from home. Do you miss it? Ethan asked one morning. Georgia? Sometimes. I miss the slowness, the way people say hello on the street. She smiled. But I like it here too. I like who I'm becoming here. Who are you becoming? Someone brave, someone who doesn't settle, someone who knows her worth. She met his eyes. Someone who's learning to trust again. That's a good person to be. I'm trying. One evening after her shift, Ethan waited outside. Can I walk you home? You don't have to. I want to. They walked through autumn streets lined with falling leaves. The air had turned crisp. Halloween decorations appeared on porches. Can I ask you something? Ethan said. Always. Are we okay? Really okay? Because sometimes I feel like we're close and other times I feel like you're still miles away. She stopped walking. I'm trying, Ethan. I want to trust you again. I want to let you in. But every time I start to, I remember that night. The doubt in your eyes, the humiliation, and I get scared. I understand. Do you? She turned to face him. Do you understand what it felt like? To have everyone staring, judging, thinking I was some gold digger? To have the man I was falling for question if I was using him? No. His voice was raw. I can't fully understand, but I see it. I see the hurt I caused. And if I could take it back, Alyssa, I would in a heartbeat. You can't take it back. None of us can. She wrapped her arms around herself. But maybe we can move forward anyway. Maybe we can build something new. Is that what you want? I think so. She looked up at him. I'm not ready for everything, but maybe we could try more than friendship. Slowly, carefully. Hope blazed in his eyes. How about dinner? Real dinner. Just us. Nothing fancy. Just 2 people getting to know each other again. Like a date? Exactly like a date. She took a breath. Okay. But somewhere quiet. Somewhere we won't be seen or photographed or judged. I know just the place. Saturday evening, Ethan picked up Alyssa in his car. No driver this time, just him, in jeans and a sweater, looking nervous and real. You look beautiful, he said when she opened the door. She'd chosen a simple yellow dress, nothing fancy. You look good too. He drove them to a small Mexican restaurant on the edge of town, family-owned, 0 chance of running into his business crowd. How did you find this place? Alyssa asked, as they sat in a corner booth. Research. He grinned. I asked Leo where he'd take a girl on a date. He had a whole list. She laughed. Of course he did. They ordered. Tacos for him, enchiladas for her, and suddenly the awkwardness melted. This was them. This was what they'd had before everything went wrong. "Tell me something I don't know about you," Alyssa said. "I'm terrified of flying. Have to take medication every time I get on a plane." "Really? But you seem so confident." "That's the medication." He smiled. "Your turn. I wanted to be a singer when I was little. Used to perform concerts for my stuffed animals." "Can you sing now?" "Absolutely not. Turns out I have zero talent." She took a bite of her enchilada. "But I can cook. That's almost as good. Better, in my opinion." They talked through dinner, through dessert, through after-dinner coffee. The restaurant emptied around them, but neither wanted to leave. "I missed this," Ethan said finally. "Missed you." "I missed you too." The admission came easier than expected. "Yeah? Yeah." She reached across the table, touching his hand. "I don't know what we're doing, but I want to keep doing it." He turned his hand over, lacing their fingers together. "Me too." They sat like that, hands joined, while the restaurant owner politely didn't ask them to leave. When they finally stood to go, Ethan kept hold of her hand. Outside, under streetlights and stars, he walked her to his car. But before opening the door, he turned to her. "Can I kiss you?" he asked, voice soft. "Or is it too soon?" Her heart raced. She'd thought about this, dreamed about it, feared it. "Not too soon," she whispered. He cupped her face gently, like she was precious, breakable. Then he kissed her, slow and sweet and full of promise. Nothing rushed, nothing demanded. Just a kiss that said, "I'm here, I care, I'm not going anywhere." When they pulled apart, Alyssa's eyes were wet. "Okay?" he asked. "More than okay." He kissed her forehead, then helped her into the car. The drive back to her apartment felt like floating. She kept glancing at him, seeing him in new light, or maybe old light, the light from before everything broke. At her door, he walked her up. "Thank you for tonight. Thank you for asking." She smiled. "And for being patient with me. I'd wait forever if that's what you needed." She kissed him again, quick but real. Then she slipped inside, closing the door with a smile she couldn't suppress. Inside, she leaned against the wall, her heart full. They'd done it. They'd found their way back to each other. Slowly, carefully, but they'd found it. Her phone buzzed. "Ethan, good night, beautiful. Dream of me." She laughed and replied, "Already am." The next morning, Alyssa woke to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. Her heart dropped even before she looked. Paula's message explained everything. "Girl, check the news now." She opened her browser. The first headline made her stomach drop. "Waitress reunites with millionaire lover after dramatic rescue." Below that, photos. Her and Ethan outside the Mexican restaurant. Their kiss. Holding hands. Every private moment from last night. Captured and sold. She scrolled. More headlines. Worse headlines. Second chance or second con. Ethan Ward's restaurant romance. From server to socialite. The Alyssa Grant story. The articles were brutal. Some painted her as a gold digger who'd manipulated her way back into Ethan's life. Others suggested he was having a midlife crisis. None of them saw the truth. None of them cared about what was real. Her phone rang. "Ethan. Did you see?" His voice was tight. "I saw." She felt numb. "Alyssa, I swear I didn't know. I didn't tell anyone where we were going. I don't know how—" "Daniel." The name came out flat. "He probably had us followed. Or paid someone to watch you. This is exactly what he'd do. I'm going to kill him." "Don't." She sat on her bed, feeling everything they'd built last night crumbling. "Don't give him the satisfaction. These articles are lies, all of them. I'm calling my lawyer. We'll sue for defamation. And that will just make it worse. More headlines, more attention." She closed her eyes. "This is what I was afraid of. This right here. Being reduced to a story, a scandal, a woman who doesn't belong. You do belong. With me. Forget what they say." "How?" Her voice rose. "How do I forget when it's everywhere? When everyone I know will see it? When they'll all think I'm some opportunist who—" "Stop. Don't let them make you doubt yourself. Doubt us. There is no us, Ethan." The words came out harsh, defensive. "There's you in your world and me trying to survive. And every time I try to cross that line, something like this happens. So what are you saying?" "I'm saying maybe we can't do this. Maybe the universe is telling us we don't fit. That's not the universe. That's Daniel and fear and bullshit." His voice cracked. "Don't do this. Don't let them win. I'm not letting anyone win. I'm protecting myself." Tears streamed down her face. "Last night was perfect and now it's ruined. Everything we touch gets ruined. Alyssa, I need space. I need to think. I I can't do this right now." She hung up before he could respond. Then she turned off her phone, crawled back into bed, and let herself cry. Outside her window, the city moved on, uncaring. Somewhere, her photo was being shared, her name was being spoken, her life was being judged, and the man she loved, because yes, she loved him, was probably standing in his penthouse as heartbroken as she was, with no way to fix it. They'd really tried, but maybe some things were just too broken to mend. 3 days passed. Alyssa stayed home from work. Mrs. Kim called to check on her, told her to take all the time she needed. Leo texted daily with encouragement and memes. Paula showed up on day 2 with groceries and tough love. Okay, enough. She pulled open Alyssa's curtains, letting in harsh sunlight. "You need to shower, eat something real, and stop hiding." "I'm not hiding." "Girl, you're in pajamas at 2 in the afternoon." "That's hiding." Paula sat on the bed. "Talk to me. What's there to say?" "I tried. We tried. It didn't work." Alyssa's voice was hollow. "Every time I let myself hope, something reminds me why it won't work, why we're too different." "You're not different where it matters. We're different everywhere that matters." Alyssa gestured at her small apartment. "Look at this place, look at my life, then look at his, penthouses, drivers, business deals worth millions. I'm a waitress, Paula. No matter how many times he says I'm more than that, the world will always see me as less." "So you're giving up, letting strangers decide your life?" "I'm being realistic." Paula stood, hands on hips. "No, you're being scared, and I get it. Those headlines were cruel, but since when do you let cruel people win? Since when does Alyssa Grant quit? Since trying keeps hurting. Love hurts sometimes, that's how you know it's real." Paula's voice softened. "That man loves you, risked himself for you, changed his whole life for you, and you're throwing it away because some photographer took pictures. It's not just pictures. Then what is it?" Alyssa was quiet for a long moment. "I'm scared that he'll realize I'm not worth it, that all this drama, all this chaos, I'm not worth it." "Oh, honey." Paula pulled her into a hug. "You are worth it. You're worth everything. And deep down, you know it. You just have to believe it." After Paula left, Alyssa finally showered, got dressed, made herself eat. But she still couldn't bring herself to turn on her phone, couldn't face whatever messages waited there. That evening she went for a walk. The city felt different now. Every corner reminded her of Ethan, every restaurant, every street, every coffee shop. She found herself outside the Lantern, the place where it all started, where he'd defended her, where they'd fallen apart the first time. The restaurant was closed, dark, but a sign hung on the door. Under new management, reopening soon. Ethan had really bought it. For her, for them, for the chance to make things right. She touched the glass door, her reflection staring back. What was she doing? What was she running from? Her phone buzzed in her pocket. She'd turned it on finally. One new message. Not from Ethan, from a number she didn't recognize. "Ms. Grant, this is Helena Price from Bean & Bloom Corporate. We'd like to offer you a management position at our new location opening in Atlanta. Please call to discuss details." Atlanta, home, a fresh start, away from Charlotte, away from the memories, away from Ethan, away from everything. Across town, Ethan sat in his penthouse staring at Alyssa's number. He'd called twice, texted 5 times, all unanswered. His mother's words echoed in his head. Money can't fix what's broken. Only time and trust. But what if there was no more time? What if Alyssa was done? Clara appeared at his door, letting herself in with the spare key he'd given her years ago. "You look terrible." "Thanks, Mom." She sat beside him on the couch. "Still no word?" "Nothing." He ran his hands through his hair. "I ruined it again. Those photos, that publicity. She thinks I set it up." "Did you?" "No." He looked at her, horrified. "Of course not. I would never—" "I know. But does she?" Clara took his hand. "Ethan, you hurt her badly the first time. She's protecting herself. Can you blame her?" "No, but I don't know how to fix it. I've apologized. I've changed. I've done everything I can think of. And it's still not enough. Maybe it's not about doing more. Maybe it's about letting go." "I can't." His voice broke. "I love her, Mum. I can't just let her go." "Then you have to show her. Not with money or grand gestures. With truth. With vulnerability." Clara squeezed his hand. "You inherited your father's pride, his need to control everything. But love isn't about control, it's about surrender, about being willing to lose everything for the chance at something real." After she left, Ethan sat alone in his expensive apartment, surrounded by everything money could buy, and none of it mattered. None of it filled the hole Alyssa's absence left. He picked up his phone and opened his notes, started typing. If she wouldn't talk to him, maybe she'd read what he needed to say. The next morning, Alyssa returned to work. Mrs. Kim welcomed her back with a hug and no questions. Leo tried to cheer her up with silly voices and terrible jokes. "Come on," he said, making her coffee exactly how she liked it. Just one smile. For me, she managed a small one. Happy? Thrilled. He studied her face. "You okay, though? Really? Getting there. That guy hasn't been back. The suit guy. Ethan." Her heart clenched. "I know. He was good for business. Tips doubled when he was here." "Leo, I'm just saying, rich guys who tip well and look at you like you hung the moon don't come around every day. He's better off without me." "I don't think that's true." Leo leaned against the counter. "I think you're both miserable without each other." "But what do I know? I'm just a theater kid making lattes." What did he know? Maybe everything. That evening, Alyssa walked past the lantern again. Couldn't help herself. This time something was different. Light glowed from inside. The door was unlocked. She pushed it open. The restaurant looked the same, but different. Cleaner, freshly painted. The tables had new cloths. Fresh flowers sat in vases. And at the back table, the one where Ethan had defended her that first night, sat a single envelope with her name on it. Her hands shook as she picked it up. The paper was thick, expensive. Inside, a letter in Ethan's handwriting. "Dearest Alyssa, if you're reading this, you found the restaurant I've been hoping you would, leaving this here every night, changing it every morning, hoping today would be the day. I don't know what else to do. You won't answer my calls, won't read my texts, and I understand why. I've hurt you twice now, given you every reason to run, no reason to stay, but I have to try one more time, have to tell you what's in my heart, even if you don't want to hear it. I love you. I've loved you from the moment you stood up to that awful man with grace and dignity. I loved you more when you gave me a chance despite every reason not to. I loved you through my mistakes, through the separation, through everything. And I know love isn't enough. I know I have to do better. Be better, so I'm trying. I exposed Daniel publicly. He's finished in this city. I bought this restaurant not to impress you, but to give us a place free of bad memories. A place where we could start fresh. Where I could show you that I see you, that I value you, that you matter more than any business deal or social standing. But here's what I learned. I can't make you trust me. I can't force you to believe I've changed. All I can do is show up, be honest, and wait. So I'm waiting. If you want me, I'll be here tomorrow night at 8, at this table, where it all began. No cameras, no crowds, no pressure, just me, hoping you'll give me one more chance. If you don't come, I'll understand. I'll let you go. I'll spend the rest of my life knowing I had something precious and lost it through my own stupidity. But I'll know I tried. I'll know I fought for you until the end. You deserve someone who sees your worth, who trusts you completely, who never doubts you. I want to be that person. I'm learning to be that person. Whatever you decide, know this. You are worth everything. Every risk, every fight, every moment. You are the most real, most beautiful thing that's ever happened to me. And even if I never see you again, I'll be grateful we had what we had. All my love. Ethan tears blurred her vision. She read it twice, 3 times, each word hitting like an arrow to her carefully built defenses. He wasn't trying to buy her back, wasn't trying to control her. He was just asking, hoping, waiting. The question was, could she do it? Could she trust again? That night, Alyssa called Paula. He wrote me a letter. And? Paula's voice was eager. And he wants to meet tomorrow night, here at the Lantern. You're going, right? I don't know. Alyssa sat on her bed, the letter in her lap. What if I go and it happens again? What if we try and fail? What if you don't go and spend your whole life wondering what if? There's a job offer. In Atlanta. Management position. Good money. Fresh start. Paula was quiet for a moment. Is that what you want to run? Maybe running is the smart choice. Maybe. But you've never been about smart choices. You've been about brave ones. Paula's voice went soft. That man loves you, Alyssa. Real love. The kind that doesn't quit. The kind that fights. Are you really going to walk away from that? After they hung up, Alyssa sat with the letter and the job offer. 2 paths, 2 futures. One led to safety, security, a life free of complications. The other led to risk, uncertainty, but also to love, Real love. She thought about Ethan's face when he'd rushed into the cafe during the robbery, the way he'd protected her without thought for himself, the patience he'd shown, never pushing, just being there. She thought about that first dinner, the candlelight, the touch of hands, the beginning of something beautiful, and she thought about her mother's words. Sometimes God closes doors to protect us from rooms we were never meant to enter. But what if this door wasn't closed? What if it was just waiting for her to be brave enough to walk through? The next day crawled by. Alyssa worked her shift in a daze, spilled coffee twice, forgot orders. Leo kept giving her concerned looks. "You okay, boss?" He'd taken to calling her that since she'd been there longest after Mrs. Kim. "Big decision to make. The suit guy." "Yeah. For what it's worth, I think you should go for it. Life's too short to play it safe all the time." He grinned. "That's what my theater professor always says before making us do something terrifying. What if I fall? What if you fly?" At 6 o'clock, Alyssa clocked out, went home, stared at her closet. The emerald dress hung there, Paula's dress, the one she'd worn to the gala. It felt like a lifetime ago. She pulled it out, put it on, looked at herself in the mirror. A woman stared back, not a waitress, not a scandal, just a woman, strong, worthy, brave. She could do this. She could walk into that restaurant, face her fears and give love one more chance. Or she could stay home, pack her bags, head to Atlanta and never look back. Her phone buzzed. Her mom, like she had a sixth sense. "Baby, how are you?" Alyssa's voice cracked. "I'm scared, Mama." "Of what?" "Of hoping again, of believing, of giving my heart to someone who might break it." Her mother was quiet for a moment. "You know what I learned? Hearts are made to be broken. That's how the light gets in. That's how we grow. You can protect your heart forever, keep it safe and small, or you can risk it, let it break, and discover it's strong enough to heal. What if it doesn't heal? Then at least you tried, at least you loved. And that's never wasted, baby. Love is never wasted." After they hung up, Alyssa looked at the clock. 7:30. If she was going, she needed to leave now. She grabbed her coat, headed for the door, stopped. This was it. The moment that would define everything. She took a breath and walked out. The lantern glowed warm against the dark street. Alyssa stood outside, heart racing. Through the windows she saw one table lit, the back table, and Ethan sitting there, alone, in a simple black shirt, looking nervous and hopeful. He checked his watch. 7:55. She could still walk away, could text him later with some excuse, could take that job and never look back, but she didn't want to. She wanted this, wanted him, wanted the risk and the beauty and the terrifying possibility of love. She pushed open the door. Ethan looked up, his expression transformed, shock, joy, relief, love, all at once. He stood slowly, like he was afraid she might disappear. "You came." "I almost didn't." Her voice shook. "I'm so glad you did." They stood there, 10 feet apart, the space between them charged with everything unsaid. "I read your letter," Alyssa said, "about 50 times. And I'm tired of running. I'm tired of protecting myself from something that might be the best thing that ever happened to me." She stepped closer. "But I need to know something. If I do this, if I give us another chance, you have to promise me. No more doubts. No more letting other people poison what we have. You have to trust me even when it's hard." "I promise." He moved toward her. "I've spent every day since that gala hating myself for doubting you, for letting fear win. It'll never happen again. I know who you are, I know your heart, and I trust it completely. People will talk about us, about me. Let them. Your business associates will judge. I don't care. Ethan, I mean it." He took her hands. "I don't care what anyone thinks. I care about you, about us, about building something real with someone who makes me want to be better." Tears spilled down her cheeks. "I love you. I tried not to, tried to protect myself, but I love you. I love you too." He pulled her close. "So much, more than I knew was possible." She looked up at him, seeing not a millionaire or a businessman, but just Ethan, the man who'd defended her, who'd protected her, who'd fought for her when she couldn't fight for herself. "So what now?" she whispered. "Now we start over, really start over. No secrets, no fears, just two people choosing each other every day." "That sounds scary." "Terrifying," he agreed. "Want to do it anyway?" She laughed through her tears. Yeah, I do." He kissed her then, soft and sweet and full of promise, a kiss that tasted like second chances and new beginnings, a kiss that said, I'm sorry, and I love you, and I'm here. When they pulled apart, Alyssa looked around the empty restaurant. You really bought this place. I really did. Thought maybe you'd want to run it. Make it what you dreamed about. A place where people feel welcome. Ethan, I can't. Not as a gift. As a job. A real job with a real salary. You'd be the manager. Maybe someday the owner if you want. He smiled. I bought the building. You'd make it a home. Why would you do that? Because I believe in you. In your dream. And because I want to support you the way you've supported me. Just by being real. By showing me what matters. She didn't know what to say. Didn't have words big enough for what she felt. So she just kissed him again. They stood there in the empty restaurant, holding each other while the city moved outside. Two people who'd found each other, lost each other and found their way back. Two people brave enough to try again. Dance with me, Ethan said suddenly. There's no music. So? He pulled out his phone, pressed a button. Soft jazz filled the restaurant. Now there is. They swayed together between the tables, her head on his shoulder, his arms around her waist. Perfect. Simple. Real. Thank you, he whispered. For what? For coming tonight. For giving me another chance. For being brave enough to love me despite everything. Thank you for waiting. For not giving up. For showing me that love is worth the risk. They danced until the song ended. Then another started. And another. They danced until the city lights dimmed and the stars came out. Danced until all the hurt and doubt and fear melted away, leaving only this. Only them. Only love. The next morning, Alyssa woke to sunlight streaming through her window and her phone buzzing. Messages from Paula, from Leo, from Mrs. Kim. All checking in, all hoping. She called Paula first. So? Paula answered immediately. Did you go? I went. And? And we're trying again. For real this time. Paula screamed. I knew it. I knew you two would figure it out. We have a long way to go still, but we're doing it together. That's all that matters. After Paula, Alyssa called the Atlanta office, declined the job offer politely, told them she'd found her place in Charlotte. Then she got dressed and headed to the Lantern. Ethan had given her a key last night, said the restaurant was hers now to do with as she pleased. Inside, morning light made everything glow. She walked through the empty space, imagining new tables here, warmer lights there, a menu that felt like home, music that made people smile. She could see it, her dream, taking shape. The door opened. Ethan entered with 2 coffees and a bag of pastries. Thought you might be here. How did you know? Because I know you. He kissed her. Ready to start planning? Planning what? Your restaurant. Our future. Everything. He set down the coffees. But first, there's something I need to do. He pulled a small box from his pocket. Not a ring box. Something else. Inside was a bracelet. Simple silver with a single charm. A tiny lantern. It's not the one from before, he said. That one carried too many bad memories. This is new. A fresh start, if you want it. She held out her wrist. He fastened it gently. It caught the light, beautiful and meaningful. Perfect, she whispered. You're perfect. Nobody's perfect. You're perfect for me. He pulled her close. That's all that matters. They stood there in the restaurant that brought them together, broke them apart and now offered them a future. Outside, the city woke up. People passed by. Life continued. But inside, 2 people had found something rare, something worth fighting for. Love. Real love. The kind that survives mistakes and fears and public humiliation. The kind that says, I choose you every day no matter what. The kind that lasts. 6 months later, the Lantern reopened, not as a fancy restaurant for wealthy people, but as something better. A place where everyone felt welcome, where the food was good and the prices fair, where Alyssa greeted customers with a smile that lit up the room. Paula worked there part-time. Leo too, when he wasn't in class. Mr. Carter stopped by opening night to congratulate Alyssa. You've done well, he said, looking around. Better than I ever did. Thank you for believing in me. I always did. Ethan came every evening, sitting at that back table, watching Alyssa work with pride in his eyes. Sometimes his mother joined him, sometimes business associates, but mostly just him, supporting the woman he loved as she built her dream. They took it slow, dated properly, learned each other's fears and hopes, built trust one day at a time. And when Ethan finally proposed, not in public, not with fanfare, just the 2 of them in the empty restaurant after closing, Alyssa didn't hesitate. Yes, she said, tears streaming down her face. Yes, yes, yes. Because she'd learned something important. Love required courage, required vulnerability, required the willingness to be hurt and the faith to heal. But it was worth it. God, it was worth it. Their wedding was small, family and close friends. Paula was maid of honor. Leo sang, proving he actually could carry a tune. Clara cried happy tears. And as Alyssa walked down the aisle of a small church, seeing Ethan waiting for her with love in his eyes, she knew this was right. This was real. This was home. Years later, when people asked how they made it work, the waitress and the millionaire, the woman from Georgia and the man from money, they'd smile and say the same thing. We chose each other. Every day. Through doubts and fears and mistakes, we chose each other. Because that's what love is, not a feeling, not a moment, but a choice, made over and over, through hard times and good times, through public opinion and private struggles, a choice to trust, to forgive, to hope, to try again. Alyssa and Ethan chose each other, and in doing so, they built something beautiful, not perfect, but real. And real love, the kind that survives everything, is always worth the risk, always worth the fight, always worth choosing, again and again and again. The end.